Hello, Brittany. It's nice to have you here today. We're just going to talk about some coaching here and how to set some goals and what you're going to be doing in your classroom as a new 6th grade teacher.
Okay.
So, if you could tell me like what goals that you have set for yourself in your new position.
First, my individualized career plan. My goal is to use a lot of choice in my classroom because motivation is a huge thing for middle schoolers, I think, so far. And just getting them motivated to read, and choice is something that helps them. I mean, they're reading what they want to read, they're doing what they want to do kind of in a structured format from me. And then also, we've been collaborating as English and reading teachers to figure out what we can do to help the program together as a unit. And we've been collaborating during a team time, talking about who is struggling, who needs more help. I've been utilizing my aides in the classroom a lot lately for those who are struggling very much, and they are doing an awesome job. So I really collaborate with them a lot, and we're always on the same page. And so that is a big deal for me too. Those aides are awesome.
Okay. So are you differentiating your classes with those?
Yes.
When the aides are in there, I mean, and when they're not, are you differentiating for those kids that are?
Yes. Well, sometimes they'll take them out of the room and do their own thing with them. We'll talk about it, and they'll know exactly what they're supposed to be doing with them. Or if we're doing group work, they'll sit in that group with those kids, and then I will do the other groups. And so it works out very well.
Okay. All right. Well, basically the purpose of this conversation is to help you to devise a plan to increase or to pump up the rigor within the classroom, along with an increase in your student achievement in reading. And we've talked about that. So I'm just going to pose you a few questions here so that you can be thinking. What reading strategies are you familiar with that will help to increase the rigor of your classroom?
Well, I need to stress how them to define a text. What is this text that they're reading? Summarize a text, which is what is important from this? Why am I reading it? And then have them compare text, and then all that together is going to pose essential questions, big parts of the story, main ideas of the story, get them thinking deeper, get those essential questions out. And for me, on my point, just posing those essential questions to have them think deeper in a broader spectrum, not just like structured, here's the thing, here's the answer, what is it? Let them think out of the box a lot more, using those strategies to help build that.
Good. What have you learned about how your teaching strategies or methods impact student behavior or progress?
I have learned that varying the input and output of my instruction, like I cannot every single day come in and lecture the same exact way to every class, because they're going to get bored, I'm going to get bored. We're not going to get the same thing done every day. They're going to get repetitive, and they're going to get in that routine, and it's never going to be a surprise. And so for some kids, they like that. So I do keep it, this is what we're doing each day on the board, so they know ahead of time. So if those kids know what's going on, they're not surprised. But and then also vary up how those students are responding back to me. Are they writing something down? Are we having a one-on-one? Are we in a whole group just responding orally to me? So just varying that up, because that's going to keep them engaged. That's going to keep them excited to come to my class, and keep me excited to keep teaching them new things. And so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Good. What actions or activities do you feel may need most of your attention on a daily basis during instruction?
For me, time management right now is kind of difficult, just because just the 40 minutes is hard for me to plan it out exactly, because some things come up that you don't expect, or things go longer, especially since it's my first year. I don't exactly know how long things are going to go, and it bothers me when I don't have a closing to my lesson, because the conclusion of the lesson is supposed to be you're wrapping everything up, and that's the most important thing for retention of that lesson. So I mean, if I just send them out the door, they're not even going to think about what did we just learn today, and that is it bothers me sometimes. So I'm really going to try and work on having that conclusion to improve the retention of that class period.
So following the making sure the checking understanding part is taking place, and so then do you just shorten up when you sense that it's getting to be at that point? You just shorten up your main part of your lesson so that you can hit the
I always have them on a time. Okay, you have 10 minutes to do this. Okay, 5 more minutes. I keep them on the clock the whole time. And then if it's getting wind down to the end, I might just cut the little thing out that I didn't think was that important. So we do have enough time. And they can always, you know, there's always time to read at the end if we do have extra time, which is a good thing. So.
Okay. As you reflect on the data that has been collected for student achievement in reading so far, what concerns you the most?
When we did the analyzing the Iowa test, we found a lot that their problem was reading a section and then answering questions that were just right there. So like answering a question that you could go back and look for. We didn't know if they were like just doing it too fast or if they really didn't understand that it was right there for them, because just the recall, the simple recall was what they missed the most. And so in my class we started out using the textbook with the 6th graders where they would read a section, answer questions, read a section, answer questions. And then now we're moving on to something, you know, bigger than that, getting away from that so they don't get bored. But that's how we started out, so get them structured and know what's coming. And then I'll incorporate that among a lot of other activities too.
Okay. How do you plan to increase the rigor to address those concerns? You kind of touched that.
Yeah. Well, with the 6th graders, we just started Lit Circles. So right now they're doing a lot of discussing their books, which is helping them get deeper in the book and know that they need to be thinking deeper into a book instead of just reading the words that are on their page. Or else they're not going to be able to talk with their group. And we had a meeting today actually where they were discussing, and some of the group members were like, they weren't participating, and it wasn't as enjoyable for them when the whole group isn't participating. So they have a responsibility to read and think about what they're reading, which is going to be really good practice for them in the future when they're reading a paragraph of something. They're going to have to think about a paragraph because they practice it. Practice thinking hard about that reading.
Okay.
Thinking about questions they could ask, so they'll be prepared for questions.
Good.
On paper.
What do you feel are the most successful strategies that you've been using so far?
I think my lessons are really structured. I do direct instruction where there's always an introduction, something to get them excited, and then I try and get it to where it's, introducing what the strategy, modeling it. Modeling is a big thing, and then guided practice, independent practice, and then some kind of assessment for the day, whether it's formative or summative, and then closing it, like I said. And so direct instruction is a big thing for me, and I think it's worked a lot. Like, it keeps me on track. It keeps me making sure that everything's working. So.
Good. What can you do to increase the rigor in your reading? We kind of talked about that. What insights have you gained in teaching that gives you the confidence that you'll be able to measure rigor and increase the student achievement?
In my 4 years at Morningside, they definitely stressed Bloom's taxonomy a lot, so I have a lot of familiarity with that. And so I'm used to posing objectives for my class period that ask those essential and deep questions and something that isn't just recall every single day. And they're analyzing, they're evaluating it. Right now they're actually practicing analyzing a text and evaluating a text, and they're really getting it, which is awesome because I think they all knew that they were doing that already, kind of, but now they notice when they do it.
Right.
And they're forced to do it. So then when they don't know they're doing it, it'll be easy for them. Mm-hmm. So that is something. And then
your mentor.
During mentoring, even just the first time, I learned so much, and we got a book about the Iowa Core and behavior management, and I think working with the mentor to come in and help me, and we've set goals for behavior management, and we are setting goals, because she's an English teacher too, so we're setting goals together too, so that's working really well, and I like that a lot too.
Yeah, and you guys seem to get along you're a perfect blend for each other.
Yeah.
What data results have you gained from Iowa assessments and probes that have been taken with the past students to help you in terms of future planning? And we talked about the Iowa testing assessment.
Yeah, so I just kind of used that to definitely get more of the questioning and the recall just from looking at those Iowa tests into my lessons. And let's see, what else did I have? I feel like I already answered.
Do you have any probes that you do to, at this point, to see what grade level students are reading at?
No, I don't have any tools for that. At the beginning of the year, I did it where how many words could they read in a minute, and that gave me an idea of their pacing and their accuracy at the same time. I took notes of that and able to put them in a group together. So that helped me, but otherwise, I don't have the tools.
Well, we'll be looking at the BRI, the SRI, and DIBELS next week, just to be able to have some type of screening to be able to see where students are at and what types of interventions we need to use. So we'll be talking about that next week. What is your next step in pertaining to this situation? You know, in your reaching your goals that you've got.
All of us, the English language teachers, and I are going to a convention or conference that Iowa Core English Language Arts Conference, convention, class, whatever you want to call it. And so I think we'll learn a lot there together, and we'll learn together so we can put it into our classrooms together as a team too. And then when we're collaborating, we're talking a lot about kids who are struggling in reading. And so I'm taking that into my classroom and realizing what I need to do with those students too.
Okay, good. What supports will you need to continue to work on the identified areas? Like, what kind of supports do you need from me as the building principal?
Well, just like something like a BRI would be great. Other than
Okay.
that, like, I mean, the textbook is, we can get stuff from the textbook that is structured so they can be prepared for structured questions like that. And then other than that, I mean, Pippa left a lot of stuff for me, so I should
Okay.
be.
The other thing is, you know, you have a classroom that your kids are, you know, it's not one that has to sit down and be quiet all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
and when I come in, you understand that I understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the support that you'll get from me. You know, I know what's going on in your classroom and what you're doing, and there's a lot of learning taking place, so you can continue to rely on that. What things will you do to extinguish difficulty in student achievement to improve learning in 6th grade reading students? I think we've kind of talked about that.
Everything together.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I will be meeting back with you again, and we'll talk about also your individual career development plan, the SMART goals that you've set for yourself, and I'll be checking in periodically. So thank you very much.
Thank you.